APIs. And in this case, I'm going to query the metrics API. And if we get a response from that, then we know that the metrics API is working. And sure enough, there's a raw JSON response, so I know that my Kubernetes metrics API is working and responsive. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to solution branch in the sample code repository that we forked earlier, because if you look at that branch, you can check out this file in the example solution branch and you can find all the changes that I'm about to make as part of this demo. So if you want to see the final state of this demo, be sure to check out that branch. So I'm going to go down here under my deployment spec and under containers right here. And as you can see, I have one container spec listed, and it's my train schedule container spec. And I'm going to add to this a resource request. So it needs to be level in the YAML file with everything in this particular container spec definition. So level with the liveness probe, the ports, image, and name. And I'm going to add a resources key. And then I'll put in requests and CPU. So because we're pod to consume, if there's more than 200 milli-CPUs available and there's a lot of usage going on in the pod, the CPU usage could easily go above that. But this provides us a benchmark to measure against for the purposes of our metrics. Request is 200 milli-CPUs. Kubernetes will consider that pod to be at autoscaler to determine when we need additional pods. If we see that CPU usage going really high compared to this 200 M value, then we know we need a disk request. I'm going to go ahead and create my horizontal pod autoscaler object that we just modified up here. So we are targeting this autoscaler to this deployment object, which means it's going to manage all of the pods that are managed by this deployment. And of course, we have a minimum number of replicas, which is 1, and a maximum number of replicas, which is 4. So that means if usage is really low, metrics block defines the metrics that this horizontal pod autoscaler is going to respond to. And this is a resource type metric. If you're implementing one of these in a real world scenario, be sure to check out the full documentation on the Kubernetes website, because there are tons of other metrics types that you can use to get a lot of different behaviors out of your horizontal pod autoscaler. But this is a resource type metric, which means it's going to respond to usage of a particular resource. And in this case, it's going to be CPU usage. And then we define the target average utilization. And this is a percentage. So we have it set to 50%.